Hello again, folks. Now, before I carry on, a message for Danny Roscoe. I don't know if you saw my reply to you on GETTR earlier, but I urge you to make that video. The reason being, and it's my opinion, that the more videos about this subject are out there, the better, because people need to know about the threat that China is currently engaged in against the West. And it's against everyone in the West, not just white people, black, brown, yellow, pink, whatever the hell you identify as. I believe you are a weapon, and they are radicalizing people, mainly useful idiots on the left, to try and bring the West down. That's it in a nutshell. So Danny Roscoe, make that video and post it. Now, I know I did a video about China yesterday, but I just want to elaborate really and focus on one aspect of China's operations here in the West. And it's to do with the fact that they are buying useful idiot lefties left, right and centre, and they're flooding the place with misinformation as well. You see, how many stories have you seen in the mainstream media? The mainstream media here are bought exclusively by China because China has a vested interest financially, politically and culturally in our media. And our media, as well as the politicians they've bought, they're pushing the Chinese Communist government's agenda. So remember, think back to Brexit, to the Trump election victory back in 2016. The mainstream media and social media did not stop pushing the narrative that the Russians were involved somewhere in funding the Trump campaign and also funding notable Brexiteers, as well as there being apparently thousands of Russian social media bot accounts trying to influence people to vote for Brexit and leave the European Union. Well, it turns out there was just a handful, and they hardly influenced anyone. If anyone or anything influenced the Brexit vote, it was the behaviour of the European Union and mass migration, both legal and illegal, as well as the rapist of Europe, German Chancellor at the time, Angela Merkel, insisting on telling Britain what to do, and the European Court of Human Rights completely undermining our own justice system here in the UK. But that's by the by. They basically blamed the Russians. Of course, there was never any evidence of Russian interference or involvement in anything. It was all dropped. It was all a farce. It was all a lie. But it turns out lefties have been in the pockets of China for years. And the hypocrisy of all is absolutely sickening. Take Labour MP Barry Gardiner, for example. Now, I was working last night on the lorries and I happened to tune into LBC and I heard he was on it, so I thought I'd listen, because it would be interesting to hear him try and explain himself. Now, it turns out Barry Gardiner, Labour MP, received more than £500,000 from a Chinese spy who was working for him. Now, she worked for him for around 6 years. And then he admitted live on air that he also employed her son eventually as his diary manager. Now, he said on air on the LBC show with Ian Dale that he took this money to do good for his constituents. And he didn't question it. Now, the whole story to me stinks. Now, think about it, folks. The Chinese Communist government would not give a Chinese spy £500,000 to give an MP here in the UK if they didn't think he could have any influence over decision-making or help push China's agenda. Now, considering all the scrutiny that MPs have been going through the past couple of years, you think this guy would be ultra careful. After all, wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you question where this money was coming from? Now, me personally, I think it was some sort of honey trap. And we will never know the true story of what happened. Because listening to him on that radio station, no way was he an innocent victim, because that's what he painted himself. And that this Chinese spy and her son, who worked for him, abused him. What a crock of shit. So back to the misinformation about Russian involvement being flooded on social media by lefty idiots and also by the mainstream media. Now, some of you may know a left-wing journalist, or to put it more accurately, a left-wing activist called Carol Cadwallader. Now, Carol Cadwallader is a pro-EU, anti-Trump leftist who has herself been caught selling and reporting this fake story of Russian involvement. And she seemed to target Nigel Farage and millionaire businessman Aaron Banks over this lie, because she accused them of basically taking money from the Russians with no proof whatsoever. So Aaron Banks sued her, And then, surprise, surprise, she dropped her story. And it was a lie. She lied. And it's not the first, because if you go on Carol Cadwallader's Twitter account, it is literally littered with apologies for false reporting. So I think after all this and pushing this Russian involvement misinformation, I think we have a right to question if she is involved with China in some way. Because they're the ones pushing this, folks. So it would make sense that you would flood social media and mainstream media with misinformation about another country funding your political opponents while you are also funding your own people in that country. And not many people are talking about it. That's how successful the communist Chinese government and the lefties in their pockets have been in pushing this narrative and hiding it at the same time. And as for Carol Cadwallader, well, she is currently in court fighting this defamation claim by Aaron Banks by saying her comments about him were in the public interest, even though she admitted they were all lies. You can't make this shit up, folks. And I urge all my fellow like-minded YouTubers to make videos about China and its influence over the left, the mainstream media and social media. It needs to be out in the open, and the truth must be told. Anyway, that's my video. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like what I do, if you want to support my channel, then by all means you can buy me a beer. The link is down below. The reason I'm doing that is because YouTube and Google have demonetized my channel because I'm going against the grain, I'm going against the left-wing Chinese rhetoric, and I'm telling you guys the truth. It's that simple. Yet these idiots, they've put adverts on my work and they're profiting from it. And I think it's wrong. So by buying me a beer, you are giving Google and YouTube a swift kick to the bollocks. And that's that. So please comment, share, subscribe. And until my next video, Roger Trout.